Let's go. Jets improved to 4-2. They beat the Packers 27-10. Here are my top 5 takeaways.
Jets, Jets, Jets!
Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Jets improved to 4-2, and I'm feeling good. Oh, man, this feels really good. The Jets are finally starting to turn that corner. The whole last 10 years has been the Jets just floundering in the bottom part of the division, but now the Jets are going to have an opportunity to really make some noise, and I think you're going to start to see the media start to pick up on the Jets, especially with this defense. I mean, Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, the whole defensive line, the backs, everyone across the board. The Jets are able to hang with good teams, and they're able to cause problems for even veteran quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers. Now, that's kind of been the knock on the Jets this season, is we've played a lot of questionable backup quarterbacks, and this week, we stifled Aaron Rodgers. The issue that I think you'll see fans try to point out, and they'll have, I was talking to one guy about his bingo board, excuses for the Packers if they lose. And, oh, he's banged up. Oh, he doesn't have his receivers. Oh, they're traveling from London. I can see the narratives starting to form, but it's exciting nonetheless. This team is here. This team is different than they were in years past, and I'm just really excited for it. But let's jump into my top 5 takeaways. The first one on the very first play of the game. This had me all sorts of jazzed up. I thought it was just, Aaron Rodgers goes at Sauce Gardner twice, and on the second time, he gets a pick six, and then they go back and they review it, and they see the nose of the ball just touches the ground in front of, was it Tanyan? I think it was Tanyan. Or Lazard? I don't know. Whoever it was. Bounced just in front and winds up getting called back. Jets do wind up holding the Packers to a 3-and-out. But man, that would have been friggin' exciting to start the game. Starting with a safety last week, pick six this week. Sauce Gardner's incredible. This kid, the recovery speed. He had one play on Lazard where he was what looked like 4 or 5 yards away from him. Aaron Rodgers throws a dart to Lazard, and Sauce makes up the ground and gets the pass deflection. He's actually second in the NFL with 8 passes defense this year. The kid has been absolutely incredible. I think he is the front runner for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, this kid came into the league and is legitimately playing like a top 10 cornerback, and you're going to start to see quarterbacks, they'll test him a little bit like Aaron Rodgers did, and then he realized, maybe I shouldn't go towards Sauce Gardner's way. I'm all about it. I'm loving this. At the end of the game, Saucy, you see the cheesehead, took a cheesehead from a fan, was running around celebrating. I love it. Lazard got mad, actually flipped the cheesehead off of him as he was running into the tunnel, and then Sauce came back out, and I believe he gave the cheesehead back to the fan, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, very, very excited for this young kid. For all you that said, oh, you can't take a cornerback in the top 5, eat your friggin' words, because this kid is so legit, and he is one of the biggest reasons this team has the swagger that it has right now. I couldn't be happier for this guy. Up next, I want to talk about the special teams, and it's hard to talk about one particular player because the entire special teams, we had some highs, we had some lows, some really good highs, right? We had the block punt, and then that turned into a touchdown. You have Clemens swat the ball down, and then Will Parks picks it up, runs it in for a score. We had a blocked field goal. So you're talking a 7-point swing right there just from the defense. Now, Zuerlein did wind up missing a 53-yard kick, so there was 3 points kind of taken off the board in a sense. And then we actually had a punt blocked as well. This was a crazy game from a special teams perspective. You don't usually see that many blocks and things kind of going on. But Brant Boyer has been through 3 different regimes with Todd Bowles, with Adam Gase, with Robert Saleh, and he has been the stability factor for the special teams. And I think now that we feel like we have a kicker in Zuerlein, and man had some awesome punts. I don't know what his average was. I probably should have looked that up before doing this video, but he had some booming punts when the Jets were in really bad field position, and he was able to flip the field with what feels like an effortless kick. The Jets special teams right now with Berrios returning kicks, man punting, Zuerlein kicking, and just the dominance and violence that these guys play with, it's something special to watch. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this team kind of develops as it goes on. Next one up, I want to talk a little bit of Zach Wilson. He didn't have himself a great game. He didn't have himself a real bad game either. He didn't really have to do a whole lot. He was 10 of 18, 56% completion percentage, 110 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And it was a very blah game for Zach. There was there was a point in the game, I would say at halftime, where I was very unimpressed, concerned, maybe a little. Like there were throws and decisions that he was making that were definitely questionable. There was a throw in the end zone to Corey Davis that could have been picked off. There was a throw to Garrett Wilson that Garrett Wilson actually broke up from being an interception. So the stat line could have looked worse. Garrett Wilson did have 2 drops besides that. And I would love to see these guys get on the same page because that's been a little bit frustrating. Zach was sacked, I believe it was 2 times. Both times he held onto the ball a little bit too long. The line gave him enough time to be able to throw the ball, but the Packers secondary really played well. It didn't feel like we had guys running wide open like we were kind of hoping. And Elijah Moore kind of was a victim of that tight coverage. They had Garrett Wilson blanketed. I think only Corey Davis really made any kind of noise aside from the tight ends. So overall, for the quarterback and the passing game itself, really not that impressive. I think, did the Jets actually finish with I think they finished with under 100 yards passing. Either way, not the best, but again, not the worst. Hopefully, my favorite stat, I shouldn't say hopefully, my favorite stat is 3-0 since Zach Wilson has come back. So I don't care what his stat line is. I do want to see him win us a game, but he's still making the big plays on the downs that we need to make, get first downs, thirds and fourth downs. So it's kind of nice to see that. I just want to see him take over a game, take that next step. But winning is certainly appreciated. Next up, we're talking another rookie. This one, Breece Hall, 2nd week in a row. This guy goes over 100 yards, 20 rushes, 116 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown, 2 receptions, 5 yards. This guy is an animal. And having him and Michael Carter as our 1-2 punch, as long as these guys can stay healthy and the offensive line can, keep doing what they've been doing the last 2 weeks, this is going to be a very hard team to beat. We were able to slow the game down. We actually did not have the time of possession that I thought we were going to wind up having. But either way, when you're able to create it feels like he was ripping off runs that were like 10 yards at a clip, like just incredibly impressive throughout this game. The run he had for his touchdown, it was like a 20-some-odd yard run in zigzagging. Like he puts his foot in the ground and people just fly past him. The stopping on a dime is so, so cool. This guy, the Jets have an opportunity to win Offensive Rookie of the Year with Breece Hall and Defensive Rookie of the Year with Sauce Gardner. And this rookie class, combined with last year's rookie class with Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, Elijah Vera Tucker, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, we have such a building... we have so many building blocks for the foundation of this team moving forward. It's really, really exciting to see. And Breece is just scratching the surface. I think as the season starts to wear on, you're going to see defensive players start to feel the bumps and bruises of an NFL season, and Breece and Carter are going to be able to rip off some longer runs and last longer into the season because they're sharing that workload. I love it. This guy's a stud. Absolutely, absolutely love what we got from Breece Hall today. And then absolutely our MVP of the game, no questions asked. That's Quinnen Williams. Dude has 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 3 hits, 7 pressures, 1 forced fumble, and a blocked field goal. Oh, man. 2 partridges in a pear tree. You know that whole thing. Quinnen Williams is legit. This guy is absolutely a monster. He's in his 4th year. So he's going to have the opportunity to cash in on a big, big contract at the end of this season. And this guy was incredibly disruptive the entire game. Aaron Rodgers could not get comfortable. And it wasn't just Quinnen, but you could see some of his presence felt even when he was not making the play. There were opportunities for other guys when they were running stunts where Quinnen was double teamed and the stunt was able to work around behind him. And I think it was Rankins maybe that got the sack. Doing it that way. Like the Jets were able to cause pressure on Aaron Rodgers, 4 sacks on the day, and they were just wreaking havoc in the backfield. Quinnen Williams, to date, 14.8% pressure rate. That leads all defensive tackles. Now, I did mention he's going to be up for a contract. For those of you wondering, the top defensive tackles right now, Aaron Donald, $31.6 million. I don't think he's going to get that because Aaron Donald, Defensive Rookie of the Year, MVPs. This guy's like massive accolades across, Super Bowl winner. Just I don't think that's where Quinnen's going to wind up being, but I think the Leonard Williams, DeForest Buckner, Chris Jones, $20 million defensive tackles. I think Quinnen's going to be in line to beat these guys. You're looking $23 million a year for Quinnen Williams, and he's just so young. He's so young, and he's just coming on right now, and he makes impact plays when we need it most. That sack on Aaron Rodgers, I don't even know how many yards he wound up losing on that sack. But overall, in his 2 sacks, we wound up gaining or losing. Packers wound up losing 20 yards. 20 yards. That's wild. And this guy's just blowing up run plays, stuff. Just across the board. Quinnen Williams has been our best player, I think, across the board. I think, like, offense, defense, regardless of who you're looking at right now, Quinnen Williams is the leader on this team. And you really go back to the game. What was it? The Bengals, where they were upset that they weren't getting pressure on Burrow, and we needed to simplify the game. We heard DJ Reed talk about it, and this is just absolutely awesome. Quinnen, after the game, says, "I don't think this was a statement game. It was coming in and doing our job, playing football on Sunday as a unit, as a team. The biggest thing for us is execution and communication week in and week out. We know our downfall is when we don't communicate, but when we do 100%, all 11 on the field, we're a great defense." So you see him mention communication twice in that. And I think that's part of why we're seeing so much success these last 2 weeks. And I think, I don't know what the Jets did, but they simplified something. And it seems like they're getting their best players on the field. And it seems like everyone is playing better. Guys like LaMarcus Joyner, who I was giving a ton of shit to at the beginning of the season, is playing much better than he was. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Whitehead. Even the linebacker, CJ Mosley, had himself a little bit of a day. We had a few penalties that were like a little, irritating, I would say, later in the game. The last touchdown drive by Green Bay, we extended their possessions twice on 3rd down because of penalties. So I'd like to see that stuff cleaned up. But overall, the aggressiveness that this team is playing with, the excitement that they're playing with, the team camaraderie. You heard it in Quinnen Williams' statement. The team, us playing as a unit. Like, this is guys coming together, doing their job, fighting for one another, and just, this is a team. This speaks to the coaching staff, the culture change that Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, and all the coaching staff across the board have really implemented in these Jets. This doesn't look like the same old Jets, and they shouldn't be looked at as the same old Jets. So I think the Jets can be in absolutely any game this season, hang with any team if they can play the way they've been playing the last 2 weeks. So guys, let me know your top 5 takeaways in the description or in the comment section down below. What do you think of each of the players? Who was your MVP of today's game, and why was it Quinnen Williams? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.